Hello and welcome to Real Awaken Wild. My name is Monique Gomez, your guide to becoming spiritually embodied, learn about conscious sexuality, and awaken to the truth of who you are. Today, we're talking about body as language. So, we're going to start diving into some communication because, as you know, communication is a key component to any relationship. And as humans, we are hardwired to figure out what others want or need and what they're saying so that way we can connect to each other because all we really want is connection. We are social beings, we are social animals. So there's a deep need to also feel seen and included and supported with others and especially our partner, right? So communication mishaps can be super frustrating, or when we don't feel like we can really understand each other, that can be really hard, right? So communication is just how we do that. But today I want to talk about um, communication through our body. Okay, so what communication is besides just our words. And just because you've been talking since before you can remember doesn't mean that you know how to communicate, right? Or that you really understand communication. So, according to body language researchers, there are three main ways that we communicate to each other as humans. There's verbal, vocal, and nonverbal. Okay, so I'm going to break these down. So, verbal is exactly what it sounds like. It's what we speak, right? It's the verbal words we use. Vocal is the tone of voice, the emphasis, the pausing in between. All of those things, how we either really raise our voice or we come down and we whisper, we take a moment, or if we're talking very fast, okay, that's all vocal. And of course, the last is everything that is nonverbal. And this is basically everything we do with our bodies, right? So the head, the hands, the eyes, all of that. So, what's interesting is that most of our communication is actually done through the body, through the vocal and through the nonverbal. Okay, so I think according to this one researcher, um, he was a body language researcher. He did this study, and his name is Albert Mehebrin, or I believe. Anyway, he came up with these numbers, right? These percentages of what how we communicate as humans. So he said that 55% of our communication is actually nonverbal. So it's everything we do in our body. 55%, okay? 38% is through the vocal. So how we emphasize the words, how our tone of voice, when we pause, when we don't. So that's like basically a huge chunk, right? 93% is all what our body and what our voice is doing. And that is only, so that leaves the 7% to the actual words that we speak, the verbal communication. So I wanted to speak to this today because I think that, as a somatic person and the embodiment piece that I love to teach, it's really important to know and to be aware that when we're communicating, we are communicating way more than just the words that we speak. So there's this beautiful responsibility to take, this really owning like what we're doing with our voice, with our body. And there's when we have that awareness, it can be so helpful when we're trying to communicate to the people that we love, right? So um having awareness of your body because it's always speaking the words that maybe you can't find, right? That maybe aren't being said. There's a lot of throat chakra shut down too. So oftentimes we feel like we're not speaking, but it's coming out somewhere. Okay. So just remember, we are all made of energy and we can feel and understand through the body. So you might not tell your partner that you're angry. You might not be able to say that, but most likely your body is telling them, right? Most likely they're feeling some kind of energy coming through you. So they will believe, because most humans believe actually what the body is saying over the voice. And that's another part of this research that the body language researchers do is they notice that people will pick up just naturally as humans. We will trust what the body is saying more than we trust what the words are saying. So keeping that in mind as we learn to communicate. it is tough to relate to other people. So learning how to communicate can be a huge saving grace for every relationship that we have. You know, most upsets in relationship are due to lack of communication or just miscommunication. There's a fear of being real with each other, right? Because we don't want to disappoint, we don't want to hurt, or we don't want to bring up something that might risk the relationship, or we feel like we can't. We feel like we're not safe. We don't fully understand how to do that. Um, but you can start noticing what happens through the body as you become aware of the fact that your body is speaking way more than your words are. So I just wanted to give you a few ways to stay curious as you communicate with your loved ones. Okay, so paying attention not only to what they say, right, the words, but noticing, start playing with like, oh, what is, how is the tone of the person's voice? What does it sound like to you? What does that feel like in your own body? Because that is their tone of voice is communicating something to you. So you can check in with your body. Oh, what is that feeling like? Just through their tone of voice, right? Um, are they giving eye contact? What's their eye contact like? Um, what are their hands doing? Do they speak with their hands? Do they not? What is their shoulder, their arm situation like? Um, and just, does their body posture just in general match with the words they are speaking? So if you're in a conversation with somebody and you're noticing that there's a disconnect, you can notice within yourself, oh, what is this making me feel? And then there's an opportunity to ask the question, ask, bring it through the voice and get that verbal communication going, right? Or even show it with your body, like lean in, get really curious and allow your body to show this expression, or you're not quite getting it, things like that. So really allowing and just paying attention to what the body is doing as a communication tool. So this is just different ways that your body speaks, and this can help you to understand not only other people, but yourself. This is just a deeper way, because at the root of all connection is just a deep desire to be seen with one another, because we just want connection. So with that, I invite you this week to start getting curious with all your interactions, but especially if you're in partnership with somebody. See if you can switch it up. See if you can speak to somebody's tone of voice or their body language, or if there's a disconnect from what they're saying to what their body is doing. Just play this week. That's what I invite you to do. And just don't forget that you can head over to MoniqueGomez.com for more on embodiment, conscious sexuality, and awakening your authenticity. And also, while you're there, if you haven't already signed up for the email list, go ahead and do that, because I get to send out more inspirations, more freebies, and upcoming events that you don't get anywhere else besides the little community of the email list. Okay. So until next time, my friend, stay very curious, open, and into your body. Get in the body. Take care.